So, sometime on Monday, Fightful Select reported that the reason as to why Will Ospreay and Strickland happened at Forbidden Door and why Ospreay lost is because he wanted to kill this rumor for Strickland that Strickland was going to be a transitional champion and a worthless title reign, so he wanted to put him over. And I wanted to talk about that here on this video because I think it deserves to be spotlit. I want to discuss, because I've been very critical of AEW's booking in the past and Tony Khan's behavior. I think those are the two most detrimental things about AEW. It really is bad. Like, if Tony Khan stopped talking, I think AEW would be a lot more fondly received. But when he opens his mouth, people just, he's not very good at being a quote-unquote promoter. He's just not. Now, what he is good at is scouting talent. And obviously, when you have a ton of talent in AEW, and Strickland and Ospreay had a phenomenal classic match. I mean, that match, again, go out of your way to see it if you didn't see it, even if you don't like AEW. But what I wanted to talk about was more so Will Ospreay, the person. I didn't like the promo he cut on Triple H because I thought it was kind of low-hanging fruit to bring up the boss's daughter after 20 years. And some of the things that Ospreay said in interviews, makes me wonder, and I've questioned it throughout the years. However, there's no question the guy comes off like a legitimate good guy. He seems like a man who, I've never met him, but he seems like a genuine dude, like a genuinely good man. And what he did here is not only best for Strickland, best for AEW, but also best for Will Ospreay. And I'll explain what I mean on this video. Besides the fact that Will's already an incredible athlete, and I've been a fan of his for many, many, many years before AEW even existed. Will is at the top of his game right now. I said after AEW Forbidden Door 2024 on Twitter that when you look at the top 10 best AEW matches of 2024, Ospreay's probably going to be in like 8 out of the 10. You know what I mean? If you were to add them all up, because the man is just absolutely on fire, and the match he had with Strickland is just great. Now, let me tell you why this is smart business and why this is good booking and why Ospreay's a smart man. First of all, a lot of people thought that Ospreay was going to get the title at All In this year, and maybe he still will, but I don't think so. A lot of people thought that Ospreay was destined to be AEW champion sooner than later, and a lot of folks thought that they were just going to give it to him on this show on Forbidden Door so he could defend against MJF at Wembley, which is probably the biggest match AEW can do right now with the talent that's available and healthy, right? So that is something that people were talking about all week. Like, where do they go with this Strickland-Ospreay match? And that made the match intriguing. Like, that is one good thing about that match. The last two matches on Forbidden Door, Naito and Moxley and Ospreay and Strickland, both of those matches were a pick'em. It could go either way. And that's good. This is a good thing. But the reason as to why Will is smart is because, number one, besides the fact that he's friends with Swerve, Swerve just got the title in April, and he's also been somewhat overshadowed, especially in the build-up to Double or Nothing, by the Elite storyline, with Tony Khan getting laid out, and, of course, Darby Allin coming back, and Jack Perry. It was almost like Strickland played second fiddle, and he's the champion of the world. And you should really push him as that. Swerve Strickland needed the win. I thought he needed the win here. I thought that to legitimize him, because Will Ospreay has not lost a match since coming into AEW, and Strickland really needed this win. Like, this is the win that legitimized him as much as beating Samoa Joe. Now, here's the thing people have to understand, because I think people are very short-sighted. Will Ospreay will be AEW champion. That's going to happen at some point. I'm guessing Wembley next year. If they choose to do All In there again, I'm guessing that'll be where he wins the title. And that is probably the best option, and I'll tell you why. Because, number one, you want to give Swerve a nice, good title reign, because like I've been saying before, putting the title on Swerve and hyping him up as the first black AEW champion and giving him a short title reign is bad optics. I'm not saying that Tony Khan is racist, because I don't think he is at all. I'm not saying AEW has a preference for white people. I've seen some YouTube videos intimate that. What I'm saying is it's bad optics, because even if there was a legitimate reason to have Swerve lose the title, it's going to look bad to some people. Even if Ospreay had won at Forbidden Door, I would not have just jumped to the, oh, Tony Khan's a racist. I would not have said that. But remember, there was that accusation made years ago, which, again, I didn't agree with, because Tony Khan, because his father's from Pakistan, he is a person of color. He's not racist. And obviously there are Pakistani people that are racist toward black people, but I don't think Tony Khan is that. But I think some folks would have found it as an easy way to attack AEW. And I can criticize AEW and Tony Khan for the things that I feel he's doing wrong, but assuming he's a racist is just not the right way I want to go about it, and I don't think he is, but it's a bad faith argument that people would make. You understand what I'm saying? So having Swerve drop the title this soon would have been a bad idea. Secondly, Will Ospreay knows that he's going to get that title at some point. Maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year, or even the year after. He's going to win the title. At this point, Will Ospreay by himself, having the matches he's having, is already a separate draw for that hardcore AEW audience. You can have the AEW World Champion having these great matches and these big feuds, which we hope we see more from Swerve later this year. And then you could have Ospreay also on the card having another great match. So you get a big 1-2 punch. You understand? It makes the pay-per-views feel bigger. Think of it sort of like how, if you're a wrestling historian, how in the early 80s, Bob Backlund was the champion of the WWF, later WWF, for years, but the top guys were still guys like Bruno. Andre the Giant was a draw. Superfly Jimmy Snuka had a big push in 83. Like, just because somebody is the champion does not necessarily mean that they're the top guy, although in theory they should be. But Swerve can be 1A and Ospreay can be 1B. It's like having Rock and Austin, except different, because they don't have the charisma of either of those two guys, but they definitely have incredible wrestling ability, and they would draw for that hardcore AEW audience. And so Will does not need the title right now. He just doesn't. Swerve needs the title more than Will right now to legitimize him as a top guy. He needs it. And also, Will understands one of the most basic and fundamental principles of professional wrestling and storytelling. If Will Ospreay won the title from Swerve Strickland on this pay-per-view after only holding it for 2 months, he would have won the title in a lame duck fashion from a lame duck champion. Whereas if Swerve holds the belt for a year, beats everybody on the roster, every top guy, goes through Danielson, goes through Omega when he's healthy, goes through Adam Copeland, goes through Malik, whoever they book him against, Okada maybe. If Swerve can beat those guys, when the time comes for him to drop the title to Ospreay, bam, it's going to mean more, because that's a victory. Ospreay would have won the title from a guy who beat him first. Therefore, you're stacking the deck against the babyface. It's very similar to what the 80s would do in the NWA with heel champions. They wouldn't have like a Ric Flair lose to Dusty Rhodes the first time. Dusty would come close, but eventually lose, whether it be clean or not, or whomever, right? Think about WrestleMania, how Cody lost Mania 39, but he came back to win Mania 40. Cody losing Mania 29, while a risky move, worked because people were hungrier to see him win the title. So I think fans, if they keep Will a babyface, and he is a very likable guy, a great promo, probably a phenomenal promo actually now, Will definitely, people are going to want him to be champion at some point, right? Even though he doesn't need it. And when that happens, it's going to be a big build-up, hopefully. Again, I say that because I can't predict what Tony Khan's going to book as far as whether he'll do a good job or not. But the point is, it's going to be a big match. And the fact that if it is Swerve losing to Ospreay, you obviously then go 1-1, and you can do the third match either at another Wembley show or another big pay-per-view or Arthur Ashe or whatever you want. The point is that Ospreay not winning was best for everyone involved. It was best for Ospreay's character. It was best for Swerve. It was best for AEW. So, once again, I'm coming on here because while I criticize Tony Khan for all the reasons that I've done in the past, this was good booking. It was Will's idea, and Tony Khan listened. And that's important as a booker and as a promoter. You should listen to your talent. That doesn't mean you let them run the show, but clearly he was convinced by Will, according to what Fightful Direct said, that this would be the best move. And it is the best move because, like I said, Will does not need to be world champion right now. That could be a story that gets built up. He's a young guy. He's got many years left. So what do you think? Do you agree? Let me know in the comments down below. And, yeah, I'm very happy with that decision.